You there?
Hello.
Hello.
I can't see myself. There it is.
There you
There.
are. What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. How's the weather, man? What are you up to?
The weather, it's cold for Florida. It's been cold.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. Now where the hell did it go?
I
There
see
you
you.
are.
All right.
It's been getting down to the 30s and 40s at night here.
That's pretty fucked up for Florida. Oh, is that
Yeah. I mean,
is
we
that
get
normal around this time?
certain times of the winter. We'll get this. I saw it was going down to 31 here Sunday night or something.
That's
Which
depressing.
I mean, I know when it gets like this, I look at the weather back home and I'm like, it's gotta be like terrible.
Yeah, but right now in Michigan, I'm just south of Detroit. It's fucking like it's 19 degrees, but when the wind blows, it's like -3. It's like fucked up
Right,
today.
right, right.
Yeah, this whole weekend's supposed to suck, but what are you gonna do? You know, it's bad up here. So I appreciate you coming on and doing this. Taking the time. You got a lot going on.
No worries.
Yeah. So what you got going on? You opening a record store or you run a record store or what?
I'm involved with the record store in Melbourne here we have a giant flea market here called Renegers. If anybody's been to these flea markets down in Florida, they know that I mean, it would take 2 days to walk through and go see everything at these places. They're massive, massive, massive places. And there's a bunch of places that cop records in there, and there's a couple stores. So one of them is it was Dinosaur music, and now it's called Record Seller, Cellar. And my man Kenny kind of took it over from this guy Bud, and Kenny was Bud's right hand man, and now I'm Kenny's right hand man. So just cleaning a place up, and it's a small little place, but it's a lot of fun, and it doesn't take up too much time because being in the flea market, it's only open on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, we're about to really get it finished how we want it, and then we'll launch social media and all that stuff. But I enjoy records. I'm a big record collector. I'm not going to waste my time off tour doing something that I don't enjoy. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I'd
know it's
assume.
yeah, this is another one of my many hustles now. But when I'm not on tour, but all those things are things that I want to spend my time doing, because my time obviously at home at my age and stuff is very valuable to me when we're not on the road. So you know, I enjoy it. I enjoy records and learning, and just having something cool in in our hometown here, one in Brevard County, I'll say. So over here on the Space Coast where we live. So
Hell yeah, man. I just started collecting records. I've been going to shows and shit, almost 20 years now, but I finally got about 5 records I bought.
there
you
you go.
know,
You're off and running.
yeah.
Well, records have outsold CDs now in the last 2 years in a row now.
I for sure believe that because it's something physical and better. It seems there's a lot more record collectors these days and people who have CDs or even fucking cassettes are coming back, making a big thing. But I think those are
Yes,
more for just fun.
that's true. I try to tell people that cassettes are coming back, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, believe it or not." So
It's weird how it's like full circle, Fuck. That's good, man. So I guess we can just get into it. So obviously you're in Hatebreed, but like a long before that, you've been in plenty of other bands like you have Ringworm, Integrity, fucking Terror. Is there anything else notable that I'm missing, or before that?
not really. I mean, I nothing to write home about. I was in Pit Boss 2000 with John Toll for a minute. Just I wasn't even playing. I was just one of the many singers that.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those bands that had 2, 3 singers every time they did stuff. So, I did a couple shows with them and a couple recordings. But that's been the main bands, the 4 main bands that I've been doing. We started Ringworm. James and I, who's still singing for the band to this day, we started that band pretty much in high school, back in like 1989, and That band's still going. I'm proud to say all the bands that I've been in are still going and still touring and still active and still making records. So, you know, and they're all headlining bands, you know, and they've all had good careers and stuff. So it's pretty cool to have been a part of such a successful you know, my catalog, or whatever you want to call it, my resume, if you will.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. Shit. I mean, you know, like, and before any of those bands besides Hatebreed, like I knew who Terror was before Integrity or Ringworm. That's just, you know, just came across Terror one day and I seen you guys at I think Alvin's in Detroit one time. I was like, fuck man. And obviously, you know, when you listen to Terror, it's all about fucking guitar to me. And you know, you were there. Did you record you were on Lowest of the Low and One with the Underdogs?
Just one with the
Oh,
Underdogs.
okay, just One with the Underdogs. Yeah, and fuck, it's like Jesus Christ, and you know, I don't know. Somehow you stood out, and I was like, oh fuck, now he's in Terror. I was like, holy shit, and then I found out about Integrity and Ringworm. I was like, Jesus Christ, you've been around forever, man.
Yeah, 50 years old now, 51 this year. So
Yeah,
it's crazy to think that I mean, even when I started being in these bands, to think that I'd still be doing this, even at a bigger level than I was back then at my age, is insane. I would never have guessed that that would have happened. And it's not a bad thing. I'm very lucky to be able to be in the position that I am, to make a living off music is a few and far between. And I know I speak for a lot of my fellow musicians, and that it's been a struggle, like it has been for a lot of people, even everywhere in every kind of job field, or just living with COVID. You know what I mean? It's been tough. But aside from the last couple of years of that going on, you know, relatively speaking, it's just to be able to do this and earn a living off it is it's not a lot of people are able to do that.
no, especially in this type of music too. You know, this it's like you know, compared to Hatebreed to Terror, like you know, the what a notoriety like is are the popular Hatebreed, but like you guys are just all fucking friends, so you're all on the same like same level and personal with each other. You know, it's just Hatebreed does fucking crazy ass shows.
Right. I mean, we're lucky to be a universal band.
Mhm.
Hatebreed's always been a universal band. I mean, Hatebreed's always been a band that you know what you're going to get when you hear the records, whenever the band puts out a new record, but it transcends the genre, you know, of hardcore, metalcore, metal, or whatever you want to call it, because we'll go and play rock festivals. You know, Hatebreed's toured with Typo Negative, Hatebreed's toured with Motorhead, Hatebreed's done Warp Tour, Hatebreed's done Ozfest, more than any band besides Ozzy and Black Label, as a matter of fact. Hatebreed's toured with Dropkick Murphys, Hatebreed's toured with Clutch and Slayer and Slipknot and Korn. So luckily, uh, you know, the band is able to do things like that and break down um, the barriers of the different types of heavy music and still be able to be Hatebreed at the same time.
Yeah, like
And
for sure.
that's one of the many reasons for the band's longevity and success.
Yeah, you're still down to earth fucking people, you know, and you know, like you can be rock stars, but you're just so normal and like personable. Like Jamie's just the same fucking Jamie from 1994, you know. So
Sure, I mean you can't you can take the band out of the basements of America and put them on the stage in front of the world, but you'll never take the basements of America out of the guys. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, for sure, man. Especially with hardcore and shit, real people.
Right.
Fuck. So I mean, let's go back a little bit, I guess. Starting Ringworm, like were you from like the Ohio area or
Yeah, born and raised Cleveland.
Cleveland? Yeah, hell yeah. Fuck. So
You know, long before I moved down here. That's where it all began for me.
yeah. Yeah. So so in a transition from like Ringworm to Integrity? Because I know he's same area. After that, like, were you already like down in Florida, or did you live somewhere else like during those
No,
times, or even with Terror too? Like, were you in LA or like what the
no,
fuck?
I never moved to LA or Connecticut when, joining any of these other bands. I lived in Ohio, in Cleveland, from the time I was born until around 86. My family, and my sister, my stepfather, my mother, we moved to Florida for like a year and a half, and then moved back to Cleveland. And then it became around 88, 89. And then I moved back home, and we moved back up there. And then I started, I was really heavily getting into all this music at the time, even before that. I mean, I saw Venom and Slayer and all these bands in the heyday in the mid 80s, even before like Rain and Blood was out, stuff. I would go see Slayer, and that kind of got me into the other bands. As somebody that was introduced to music at such a very young age. My parents partied hard, and the music was always around. So I was very introduced to music at a very young age. My dad had records, and my uncle was playing in bands and stuff. So, I was always, as a young kid, when I was 6 or 7 years old, I had Kiss records and the Who records. I went and saw the Who when I was 11. This was embedded into me. So it's somebody that got into it young. I was always looking and digging and digging and digging. And when you're young, you're always looking for that extreme stuff. And I found out about metal, and I was listening. From Kiss, it turned into the Wasps and the Ravens, and then it got heavier and turned into the Slayer and the Celtic Frost. And from that, I found out about Agnostic Front and Suicidal Tendencies and bands like that. And now you're talking about mid 80s to late 80s. And I moved back to Ohio in 88, 89, and got Ringworm started, and started playing guitar. I started playing guitar and got Ringworm started, and it really took off from there. But even after, I left Ringworm and started doing Integrity, and then that kind of fizzled out, and we got Ringworm back together, and that ran its course. And I joined Terror in 2004. I never left Cleveland. I never moved away from Cleveland until after I joined Hatebreed. A couple of years after I joined Hatebreed, I moved down here, and that was probably 2000. I think I moved down here permanently in 2008. So I've been down here this time, 14 years, I guess.
Damn, it's hot as fuck in Florida sometimes, though.
What's that?
I said it gets so hot in Florida though.
I
Sometimes
love it. I love the
oh,
heat. I mean, 36 Cleveland winters, I can't do the cold anymore. Like I'm and the thing about it is, and I try to explain this to people, like my family, they'll sell me on it was a mild winter, we didn't have that much snow. I'm like, snow means nothing to me. Like when it's gray for 5 months of the year, it's so depressing.
oh yeah, it
Like,
fucks with
let
you
it
for
be
sure.
40 degrees. Let it be 40 degrees here, like it is now, or what it's going to be tonight. But it's sunny. It's dry. The roads aren't like driving in Beirut. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff. Like I need the sun shining every day to boost my morale, so I don't kill people and stuff. So, I just, the heat doesn't bother me. I just jump in the pool, or I go in the air conditioning, or we live by the ocean. There's ways around that shit. I feel bad for the people that are up on roofs and all the landscapers and stuff down here that work in this shit. It is brutal,
Oh yeah.
but your blood changes. And the older you get, the colder you get.
Okay.
Old people are cold as shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that's why they go
I'm
to
not saying I'm
Florida.
70, but that's just the way it works, and your blood changes. I would be nothing for me to be in freezing weather. We tour Canada in the winter, but now after I've been down here 12 years, man, I get in 60-degree weather and I'm cold as shit.
Yeah, fuck. Even at the beginning of January, I went to Las Vegas, and like I know. So the week before, like Christmas time, it was like 40, 45 degrees, but I went the week after New Year's, and it was like 65, 70, and it was like 20 back here. So I was like, fucking jacket off, everything, shorts. And like going into restaurants, like they have the heat kicked on, like 72. I'm like, I fucking wait for my food outside. Like I can't stay here. It's fucking hot, you
Sure.
know? I
Well,
was,
Vegas is one of those weird places. It could be 30 degrees there, but in the winter, but they're so hot in the summer.
mhm.
When they're hitting 65, they're gonna crank the heat, because in the winter or in the summertime, they're 115, 120. It's normal for
Oh,
them to be like, that's the desert,
oh,
So
it's ridiculous there, man.
you
Like,
see me with the hoodie on. I never wear a hoodie down here. I'm shorts and t-shirt all the fucking time. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I would
I
too.
don't like to be inconvenienced by wearing a hoodie. To me, it's an inconvenience to put this on. I'm
Mm.
trying to go out the door with what I'm wearing in the house. That's the beauty of living down here. Well, you can tell it's chilly down here. I got a hoodie on. So I was just out running around picking up a record collection, and I have the hoodie on. So it's,
Fuck.
it is what it is. First world problems.
First world problems, like, oh, I'm cold. Yeah, like what the fuck? Shit. So anyway, so like discovering all the music you were talking about, like Slayer and shit, like back in the 80s. Were you playing guitar before that, or did you want to start that after you had already gotten like heavy music?
I got my first guitar around the time it was 84, I think, 85, So I was probably 14 or 15, monkeyed around with it enough to be able to play the kind of music that we play, you know what I mean? You don't got to be fucking Eddie Van Halen to play hardcore. But I was got good enough to be able to write music and come up with my own stuff, and come up with these arrangements in my head and go to a drummer and say, this is what I want you to do. It's got to be like this. We got to do that and play this on the bass. You know what I mean? It takes a little bit of talent to be able to do that. So, but when at first, of course, I didn't know how to do anything or play. I don't consider myself I'm more of an entertainer on stage, to think about what we do now. Wayne, the other guitar player, really can play guitar really well. You know what I mean? But I'm a rhythm guitar player, and I do that well in our band, and I've done it well enough to be able to make a living off this. But and it was a different time back then. I just remember, like, if there was like young kids that could play guitar really well, it was a big deal back then. But now with YouTube, it's like you see a 14-year-old kid ripping on the guitar. It's nothing. You think nothing of it because it's so common now. It was definitely a different time. You didn't have internet either, or things like that. So, we idolized the guitar heroes and learn from them. Even bands that weren't huge, you know what I mean? Just within our own scene, you know who the good players were or who wrote the good songs. I never been a guitar player that lost my mind over somebody that could shred on the guitar, because there's no shortage of those. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Eddie Van Halen. I love the guys in Skinner. They were all great players. I have my heroes, Nugent and the underrated players, got guys and boys to call. Ace Frehley was a huge influence on me, but to me, it's all about, can you write a great song? Because you get that feeling from music. Music's a feeling, and a song is the way it makes you feel.
Right.
And you don't have to be the world's greatest guitar player to make one of the best songs ever. Jimmy Page is not necessarily the greatest guitar player in the world. He's known to be sloppy, but he fucking wrote Stairway to Heaven. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's a perfect example right there.
Sure, man. Yeah. Well, on another note, like, do you have any words of wisdom or any good tips for a beginner guitar? I just picked up my guitar. I had one back when I was a teenager, and I stopped playing. I played for like at less than a year, and I just started trying to play again over the past month or so. Have any good tips or words of wisdom that somebody can use to play like heavy
Yeah,
music?
don't be like my buddy John Five. Just sleep with the fucking thing. You know what I mean? Every time I see that guy, he's got a guitar on. He's in a hotel lobby with the guitar on. But he's one of the best guitar players there is, especially nowadays. Like, that guy's incredible, and I just think that you have to love it. You have to want to do it. You know what I mean? And if you get bored with it and don't like it, then it's not going to work out. You have to love it. You have to want to play the guitar. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, nowadays, with electronics and computers and how kids are brought up these days, their attention span is way too short. And I think because of that, there's less of that. I think when we were kids, um, there wasn't all these fancy gadgets and shit. So if you had a guitar, it was a big deal. Nowadays it's like, oh, I got a guitar, big fucking deal. You know what I mean? Let me get on my iPad. Um, you have to love it. You have to want to do it. You know, you have to spend time learning that craft. And one of the nice things about nowadays that we don't have, that we didn't have when I was coming up, was the internet and YouTube. You can always learn how to play guitar on, just go right on YouTube. It's a lot different. We would, if we really wanted to learn, we either had to teach ourselves and spend hours doing it at home, or you went to a physical music store and you took guitar lessons, you know what I mean? But nowadays everything's over the internet. You can get on Skype with some of these guys, and some of these bands do guitar lessons, you know, some of these metal bands that we tour with and stuff. So that's super cool, man. I wish
Okay.
when I was young, I could have got on the fucking computer with Gary King and learned how to play fucking lead solos and play Slayer, you know what I mean?
Yo,
But
fuck
that's
yeah.
not how it was, but that's how it is now. You
Yeah.
know, you've got guys in bands that teach, and you can go on YouTube and watch things like that. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah. I
gotta
mean,
want it, you know.
mhm.
You gotta want it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like time's a big factor too. Like whether you spend a half hour or like 2 hours a day. We have kids and work and shit like that. I was like, I need just some fucking me time to figure this out. I want to figure it out because
Sure.
with the music, any hardcore band, what do you hear? You fucking guitar. You start bobbing your head, you hear guitar. That's where it's at. To me, I know the drums, percussion, bass. It all works together. But rhythm and lead guitar, it's like, fuck, that's some fancy shit.
It is, to a certain extent, for
Yeah.
sure. Sometimes I wish I could just play bass.
Fuck yeah. So I mean, I know you've been on a lot of tours, done a lot of tours, but like coming up through here in like Detroit and shit, like you've made some relationships, probably like the Hate Inc., like Cold as Life dudes. Like how'd you meet those guys? Like I've had Jeff on the podcast. Jeff and Roy came over, did the first one I ever did. It's a pretty cool thing that they took the time to come out. Coldest Life is long gone, but it's cool that they still want to talk some shit about it, which was fucking pretty nice of them because they're all like way older than me. I don't know those guys really, but like I've always seen them at shows. I was like attracted to like those group of guys. Those are some bad motherfuckers.
Well, no, it's funny. We just did the only tour that we've done in the last 2.5 years was the tour with Megadeth and Lamb of God.
Hmm.
And that came through DTE. So Beast and Jeff actually came. Haven't seen Jeff before he was locked up. So we reconnected, and it was amazing to see him and just talk with him, and see him and Bob Tyrell and all these people from Detroit that we have relationships with. So, but Ringworm, and when we got Ringworm back together in the late 90s, and signed the Victory and all that, and right before we did, Jamie actually had his label Stillborn, and we did a split 7-inch. Ringworm and Cold as Life had a split 7-inch out back in the day.
Oh shit.
So we came up and did their festivals and stuff with Ringworm, and then Terror would come through there, and I've known these guys for a long time now. It's been a minute. So Johnny Haidt, when he was still around, and all these guys. It's a very similar, when you start talking about scenes like Cleveland and Detroit and Pittsburgh and Buffalo. These are people that have a lot of background in common. Like when I read an interview back in the day with Hate Inc., and they're like, yeah, our influences are Chuck Berry, G.G. Allen, and Destruction. I'm like, wow, I get it. I get it, because these are people that came from steel working towns and auto industry towns. I am the son, grandson, and nephew of a Ford Motor Company employees, from the Cleveland engine plant and the foundry. I come
Yeah.
up in that working class blue collar background, and I worked in the tire business for 11 years before it. During the whole time I was in Integrity, Ringworm, and Terror. So this similar backgrounds, and even though Cleveland didn't have the bands, we had the radio stations that broke a lot of these bands from Detroit. WMMS. So even though Detroit had Nugent and Alice Cooper, and the list goes
MC5.
to MC5 and Stooges and Motown. These are similar backgrounds. So I feel like when I'm talking with people like the guys in Cold as Life or Hate Inc. or whoever, or maybe some guys like Scott Vogel from Buffalo, who I've known since the 80s. We have just, it's just more of a bond. You know what I mean? Because we come from that background, that Rust Belt background of hard winters and you know, factory workers and blue collar, you know.
You're from
So
Midwest, man. Yeah.
that too, yeah. Yeah, that's just, I don't know. I just feel like I, you know, more comfortable and had always had more in common with these kind of people because they came from similar backgrounds.
Yeah. One thing you said that I was going to say, like the hard winters, man, it'll harden anybody. You know, if you can stick out a winter up here, like shit, like you can stick through and you go to fucking Antarctica and live, you know?
No, I know. It's and you know, we're not even that bad, you know, compared when we go on tour and we end up in Wisconsin and North Dakota, or we've done Canada in the winter. I've done Winnipeg in the winter. It was
Oh,
negative 25, you know, regular, not with the wind chill, straight up negative
right.
25. So
Yeah, that's like a
um,
week at a time, that shit, you know?
yeah, it's
Like
brutal, brutal,
I remember
brutal.
one time, just a couple years ago, some whatever they call it when it gets cold as fuck. There's a certain name for it, but they're saying it was colder in the Midwest, like Ohio and Michigan, than it was in Antarctica and Mars. Like it was colder here than it was on fucking Mars and
Yeah, I mean,
in
I
the Mars
believe it.
winter. It's like what?
Not there's a reason that doesn't sound far fetched to me, and that's because I lived through so many of those winters. I don't
Oh
miss them.
yeah, I don't blame you, man. Like
I'm just trying to go outside and get in my truck and drive. I'm not trying to scrape shit and get stuck and get frostbite and all that bullshit.
oh man, it's so bad. Like I'm a truck driver too, so it's like it's my life. If it's fucking snowing, I'm dealing with it. You know, it's like God,
Yeah,
just
be
never
careful out
ends.
there.
Like
That's dangerous shit.
yeah, it's like 5 months out of the year that I just like want to say fuck this, you know, and just
Ice ice road truckers.
you know, man, I thought about that before too. Like, I actually looked into it. Those guys get paid really, really well, but like their living conditions aren't that like great. Like, you sign on with the company, so they'll get you like a plane up there, like they'll fly you out, but you're sleeping in like army barracks. You know, you get like you're certain allotted time because that drive. Like truck drivers have to have at least a 10-hour break in between their shift, you know, for like proper rest according to the Department of Transportation. So they give you your 10 hours, but you're back out there for fucking 14 hours at a time. Like, you know, like you can make like 30 grand in like 3 months, but like, I don't want to leave my family for that fucking and driving across lakes and rivers. Like, no thanks, man.
Yeah, it's brutal.
That ain't for me. That ain't for me. Have you witnessed any other colder areas in like northern Canada? Any like European winters? Any like Serbia or anything crazy?
Nah, I mean, Canada doing that Canadian tour we did. I think we were out with Black Label Society. It was brutal. I remember New Year's we were in like Edmonton, Calgary, and then we went to Winnipeg and we were in Ottawa and all these places. It was just next level compared to what you and I are used to. No, it was like next level for sure.
Fuck. Yeah. That might happen like once a winter where it gets like negative 14, but nothing like that where every day it's negative 20 for 2 months. Like that's chaos, man. Cold as fuck. Cold as life. How about that? No.
Right.
Um, so what what's like what's it like going on a Hatebreed tour, man? Like when you were invited to go and like be play with Hatebreed, like compared to in a tour bus with Ringworm and then being on a tour bus with fucking Hatebreed. What's the difference like lifestyle? Is it similar?
I mean, I had a taste of this stuff long before I was in Hatebreed because these guys would fly me out. They would be like, "Hey, man, um, we're out with Slayer. Why don't you fly out?" Sean and Jamie would hit me up and be like, "We bought you a plane ticket." They're like, "We want you to ride on the bus and party for a week." And so I would go do that. I would do shit like that, or like when Ringworm, when Jamie would put, when Hatebreed and Jamie, those guys would put Ringworm or Terror on the tour with Hatebreed. The first day they would be like, "All right, move your shit out of the van. You're riding on the bus with us."
Holy
And then the
shit.
guys in my band, even though they were bummed because they weren't riding in the bus, they were like, "Okay, great, more fuck you." real estate in a van and in a hotel room is huge. So they weren't pissed. You know what I mean? They were like, cool, we got more room in the hotel room. And because I was so tight with Jamie and these guys, you know what I mean? Before they became popular, you know, I talk about the Ringworm and the Coldest Life 7-inch. When I was in Integrity in 1995 or 90, I think it was around 94, Hatebreed was starting out and we didn't know who they were. Jamie would call us and be like, hey, we love Integrity. We want to put a split 7-inch out. We want you guys to come play in Connecticut. Can you book us in Cleveland? And we're like, who are these kids from Connecticut? Hatebreed. We don't know who they are. They were just starting the band. We ended up doing a split 7-inch with them. Integrity, Hatebreed did a split 7-inch in 94, 95, I think. And I've known them since then. I've had a relationship with these guys since then. So when they would come through Cleveland in a van, because they weren't big yet, they'd sleep on my floor. I'd wake up in the morning and there's Hatebreed in the living room sleeping, you know, and we were partying all night. So I've had this relationship with them since back then. And I just watched their band continue to blow up. It's amazing what it turned into, you know, and now I get to be a part of it. You know, everybody, when I first joined the band, all these people that didn't know the backstory, you know, when I do all this press, they'd be like, what's it like being in Hatebreed? I was like, there's nothing different. I've known these guys since day one. The only thing difference now is when they go on stage to go play, I strap a guitar on and go out there with them, you know?
Yeah, fuck, man, it's gotta be like it's gotta be a good time, you know, especially being in like, you know, Integrity, like smaller bands or whatever, and Terror, then they hit you up like, hey, come fucking party with us. Like shit, like that's gotta be fun as fuck.
Oh
But
man, it's great. It's great. And when they went from, you know, they were 4-piece or they were a 5-piece, and then they became a 4-piece. I mean, on Rise of Brutality, they're just a 4-piece, and they wanted to go back to being a 5-piece again right before Supremacy. And they hit me up. They're like, look, are you ready to be in the band? We've been talking about getting you in the band forever. There's not going to be any auditions. And this is big. They already had a fucking Grammy nomination and we're on a major label. So here's this band that's on a major label and had a Grammy nomination. And Jamie's the fucking host of Headbangers Ball on MTV. And they're calling me up saying, are you ready to be in the band? We've been talking about it forever. There's no auditions or nothing. You're the guy. You know, that was huge. Obviously, that was a big deal. And to be honest with you, like, even though I was friends with these guys and I've toured and been in Europe and had record deals and wrote records and stuff, it was very intimidating to me, you know, because here it is. It's like, this is the big time. And your first shows are opening for Korn in Europe to 10,000 people. So, you know what I mean? It was very intimidating. And I was nervous in the beginning, you know. Now I want 100,000 people to be out there. I'd rather that be that. I'll roll out of bed 30 minutes before we play and go kill it. You know what I mean?
that's so fucking crazy.
Relishing that shit. You know what I mean? But in the beginning, I was doubting myself. You know what I mean? I was shook for sure. Definitely. I mean, I'll admit it for sure. I was shook.
Yeah.
But even, you know, the bond I had with them, you know, I in my mind and my own thoughts and myself, I had to deal with, man, you can't be fucking up here. This is pro. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of, as a player and you step your fucking game up. I mean, Ringworm was a drunk. Let's get drunk and play. You know what I mean? Let's black out and play shows. And we didn't really tour a lot. Integrity didn't really tour a lot. It wasn't until I joined Terror in 2004 that I started touring and doing this full time. So I didn't have that many years under my belt of being pro. And obviously the jump from going to Terror in the van to Hatebreed in the bus and playing to tens of thousands of people, that's a big jump. And I just remember that clearly. You know, a lot of it's a blur to me because I've been doing this so long and I partied a lot but I remember clearly the feelings of when I joined the band, how I was, a lot of it was excitement, was something to be excited about. But I was definitely like, shit, holy shit, should I do this? Can I do this? Like, you know what I mean? I was
Fuck yeah.
thinking there's probably times back there I was thinking about telling them, no, I can't. Sorry, I can't. I'm shook. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I couldn't imagine it. Because whether you're in Ringworm or Terror, like there can be a night where you play for 30 people, or there can be 150 or 300. But with Hatebreed, it's sold out pretty much anywhere you go, I'm sure. Like whether it's a theater or like a small club or you know,
right, right, right.
so it's always some action. It's never like it's like the show like you ever had like a Hatebreed show where half of the fucking audience isn't there? Like we ever
Well,
played
sure. I
like an
mean,
empty building?
look, we still play small shows with Hatebreed, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's very professional though. You know what I mean? We're playing the concert as if there's 100,000 people
Oh
there.
yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's just the game has been stepped up, and looking back on it now, it's like I can't imagine. I can't. It's hard for me to think about if I turned my back and said no. Hey, I can't do it. I don't. I just sorry guys. I'm not prepared for this. You know what I mean? I'm watching the videos and coming to see Hatebreed live, and it's second nature to me now. I've been doing it with this band for so long. But yeah, I mean, there was definitely a time when I was like, holy, because like it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the conversation. How many people have this opportunity? You know what I mean? To take music to this level.
It's
You
not
know,
that many, man. There's only
it's
a handful of bands in this,
no,
you
and
know.
it's not just about taking it to the next level and making the moves. It's a thought process, and there's all these feelings involved with this. My son was pretty young. He was um 9, I think, when I left my job and left home to go tour all the time. So um there's a lot of them. I had a good job. I had 401k benefits, all this stuff. It's not just, hey, I'm going to go do this, because what if it doesn't pan out? You know what I mean? And even if the band's successful, what if it doesn't pan out with you? What if somebody, it's a 5-way marriage. One, 2-way marriages don't work. So a 5-way marriage, what if the guys were like, oh, sorry, it's just sorry, it's
Yeah,
not.
you're out,
And I
dude.
think that was one of the main. Sure, they could find people who could play the songs, but they knew that they were going to be able to gel with me and live with me. They liked having me around. I've lived on the bus with them. I've toured with them. You know what I mean? I think that had a lot to do with the decision.
Yeah, and you said, in the beginning, like you're more of an entertainer, like the way you think yourself. So like you really add another level to Hatebreed too, just by being on stage. Like when you were in Terror, like you just get everybody fucking riled up before they even started. It's like, whew,
Sure.
then you see you on stage, you throwing your hands up and fucking getting everyone excited. It's like, oh, here it goes. So it's just another level. Like that guy with the big neck who used to play, just stand there all mad.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, but it's got to be still like just as exciting. Or like, are you ever like, oh, I gotta go on tour for a fucking month and a half? Or is it always the same excitement every night? Or is there nights you're just like, I just don't want to do this, but you have to do it anyway?
I think the guys in the band will tell you, at our age, leaving home's tough. Everybody gets comfortable at home now. We don't tour as much as we did. When I joined Hatebreed in 2006, it was normal to do 250 to 300 shows a year. And I was single, living in Cleveland. The weather sucked half the year. The money's on the road anyways. Let's go on tour all fucking year. Fuck coming home at all. You know what I mean? But now I'm married. I'm older. My time at home is huge to me. You know what I mean? Going on tour and the traveling and all that shit. You know, Anybody will tell you the best parts when you're on stage. But and nothing's gonna beat that. And I do interviews. I've done a lot of interviews during the pandemic, and people are like, God, I bet you can't wait to get on tour. And my answer always is, and I know a lot of fans don't want to hear this, but I'm like, at my age, I'm like Dorothy. There's no place like home. But the thing is, I say that there might be no place like home, but there's no place better or that I'd rather be than on stage performing because this is us being able to do what we want to do. This is what makes us happy. And then the flip side of that, and the silver lining of that, is when you go out there and do that, you're making all those people that came to see you happy. This is their big night out. So you're helping them forget about life for a while and their problems and all this stuff, and it's all makes it, and that all of that stuff makes the experience the best. So yeah, it sometimes, look, we're older and we don't get around as good as we used to, probably, or we have to conjure up the energy, have to think about that stuff, as where a lot of that came natural before. That kind of stuff, it's tough. But at the end of the day, you pinch yourself and you say, are you fucking kidding me? You know how many people wish they were doing this right now? You get to go fuck off with your friends all over the world for half the year and barely work. I mean, yeah, you're gone. Some people consider that work. Oh, you're gone from your family. You're gone from home. You sleep in a cubicle on the bus and all that shit. Yeah, but come on, that's fucking cool. We're hanging out with our friends half the year and going and screwing off, and we don't have to do anything other than play for an hour or maybe do a sound check and a meet and greet. And then work wise, that's our whole day. So, nah, I mean, I try to, I do this to myself when I feel myself getting comfortable and
Wake up.
complaining about, because look, everybody gets comfortable with their job no matter what kind of work it is. But this is cool stuff to be able to do this and still do it this long. Like I said, but you look at bands like Rolling Stones, I mean, they're 70s and they're still playing. And God knows they have all the money in the world. Why would they keep doing that in their 70s? You know what kind of hell it is for them to probably travel around in their 70s, and they play double as long as we do.
Oh yeah,
they love it. They love it. And I don't care if it's at that level or if it's the guys in Agnostic Front who age-wise aren't too far behind them. They're definitely in between our age and Rolling Stones age, at least Roger and Vinny.
Yeah,
they're out there doing it. They love it.
Ass
and
still,
this is a band this is a band that Charlie Harper, UK Subs. These are bands that we grew up idolizing, and they're out there doing it. So what the hell, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's amazing. Is there any places that you haven't played that you'd like to play? Like any crazy countries, or have you just been pretty much everywhere at this point?
Well, we've been to some off the wall places. I tell people that I probably wouldn't have gone to Turkey or Israel or Africa if it wasn't for the band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know that some bands have been to India and played. That's one that's kind of weird, just never happened for us.
Okay.
I'll go anywhere, man. I'll go anywhere. I'll play anywhere they want to have us. And we got to go to the Philippines and Indonesia and all that one time. I'd like to go back there. That was a lot of fun. But we'll go play anywhere that'll have us. And, even if it's a little sketchy, we go to sketchy places in South America.
You've been to Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Detroit, South America, same thing. You get kidnapped in either or, but
right. For sure you can.
We played Harpo's, you know what I mean? So
yeah, dude, that's just as bad as fucking Israel, right. The border of wherever the fuck, where all the Gaza Strip in Israel. It's and basically Harpo's on a Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we shot our DVD there. Hatebreed Live Dominance was Harpo's. Got a big history there, for sure.
Yeah, man. And when Jamie's on stage at Harpo's or wherever in Detroit, you hear it in his voice. He's not bullshitting when he says fucking Detroit is his favorite place. So, I know he's not lying. I never even talked to him,
No, I mean, Detroit, I don't care what kind of music, just music in general. They love it. They love it. It's not even about Hatebreed or hardcore music or nothing. It's about music in general. That town loves it. They always have since day one. Their audiences always bring their A game, and can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those fucking pits on that DVD, the Hatebreed DVD, dude. It's the entire bottom floor of Harpo's is just a chaos. I was actually showing my 14-year-old son. He's like, "That's insane." It's what the fuck? Nobody's standing still.
As much as it sucks that that stage is so high compared to every other place we play, for a club, normally you get a stage that high and you're in an amphitheater or an arena or something. But to have a stage that high at a club where the people, where the fans are there, and it's like up to here. The only good thing about it is because once people jump off the stage, they go down into that pit and almost die.
Yeah.
But the only good thing about it being that high is what you're saying is the view from up there and looking down at the pit is cool. It's super cool view from up there. But
Yeah.
I always am careful playing there because once you put all the equipment up there and get all the Mama Luke standing on the side of the stage, I'm like, it's not that big up here. So I'm always, and I have bad eyes in the dark, stigmatism and all that stuff. So I'm like, I'm not falling off the stage and dying. I'm not, it's not
Yeah.
gonna happen. It's not
Right.
on YouTube and all that. So I'm always super careful, but
Yeah. And
it's
then
always, and the shows are always packed there. So it's just the views from up there are amazing.
yeah, I always wonder what it looked like until that Hatebreed DVD. I was like this pit, like I'm always on the bottom, standing there, you fucking around, but it's like it's so big. It's just people moshing hard as fuck for as far as you can see at any Hatebreed show. Like I said, I took my son when you guys did the Satisfaction tour a couple of years ago, and my son was like 10 at the time, and that was at the Majestic Theater, which is a pretty big place, but it's a different compared to Harpo's.
Yeah.
And we stood way in the back, and of course the pit, fucking front to back, and my son was like, I was like. We're good. We're behind behind a railing and shit. But he's like, man, that was intense. He said he got all nervous. I was like, yeah, it's pretty intense with a dying fetus and Code Orange, that show.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I think it was cold that we came in the winter, right?
Yeah, December,
Yeah.
a couple weeks before Christmas, because it came out. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I was like, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved it. So we have about 15 minutes left. What else? We had a pretty fun conversation so far, man. I appreciate you doing this again.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, I did have a couple questions. I asked some people if they would have any questions for you, if you're interested in hearing a couple of them.
Okay.
Okay. Let me get to them real fast. Okay, it's this is a pretty generalized question, so you can answer it however you want. It says, if you had to pick one, Ringworm or Integrity, which one's your favorite and why?
I would say Ringworm just because I wrote more material in Ringworm. I played on more records, and that was like my baby. But not to take nothing away from the Integrity years. I did play on some great records with them. You're talking about a yin and a yang of Cleveland hardcore right now. Ringworm and Integrity, those are like two of the big names that always come up. So, and very similar style, the you know, evil anti-religious or religious overtones. And I would have to say Ringworm though. Birth This Pain, I wrote that whole record pretty much and produced it. The Promise, I wrote the entire record. Justice Replaced by Revenge, I wrote the majority of it. With Integrity, I showed up during Systems Overload, but I wrote music on Humanity is the Devil and Seasons and the Size of Days. And the only reason I'm picking, like I said, Ringworm, was because it was more my thing, that I spent more time involved in with it. And I have, more invested into that than I did Integrity.
Cool.
Love them both. Love all the guys.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid answer. Fuck. We'll do another one. This one has a couple parts to it, but we can just rip right through it. Sort of like says, what is the best time you've ever seen Kiss? Do you have any concerts that stand out?
Man, probably in 1996 when they put the makeup back on and they got the original guys back together. And I mean, as a kid, this was something we talked and dreamed about forever, because in the 70s, when they came around, most of us were too young to be able to go to the concert. And they started changing the members and changing the makeup. Then they took the makeup off, and we still loved them through all that. But we always said, could you imagine if they got Ace Frehley and Peter Criss back in the band and put the makeup back on? And they did. The first show was at Tiger Stadium, and they sold it out in 7 minutes.
Oh, Well, were you there? Did you show up?
I didn't go. A bunch of my friends,
Yeah.
but I didn't go.
Okay.
But I ended up going to like 7, 8 shows on that tour.
Nice, man.
And it just I've seen them over 50 times now, and met them 100 times.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Nice.
that seeing them, the first time I saw them was on Animalized tour in 1984 with Queensryche opening. I was 13. It was life changing for me, even though they weren't in the makeup and all that. But I think the best time, obviously, was to see them back as the original four in the makeup and all that in 1996. That was huge for so many of us.
Okay, well, that can probably go along with another question. Your favorite Kiss era? We can just sort of lump that together. You think with when they
I
got
don't
back
know.
together?
I love all of them. I mean, I love all the eras. I love a lot of the stuff that the people hated, like because I was such a fan. I held on longer than your average fan.
Okay.
I love the non-makeup stuff. I love the glam rock stuff they did. I mean, they certainly changed with they definitely changed with the times a lot to what was popular to keep their career going. They made a disco song in the late 80s. They made a terrible grunge record in the 90s that a lot of people might not know about, but
I don't even know about that.
I love all the eras. I really do, but I don't know. Costumes wise, I love the Love Gun costumes. I really love the Creatures of the Night era.
Okay.
That's a good one. They had the tank drum stuck on stage. They kind of got heavy again. Creatures of the Night era, Love Gun costumes. We'll go with those.
Cool. I don't know what this one means. You probably will. So, what is your opinion of Kiss the Elder? Don't know what that means.
Oh, that's one of their least popular records.
Oh, okay.
It almost ended their career. It was
no shit.
Yeah, it was a concept record. I love the Elder. I think it's great. Is it a great Kiss record? That's arguable. But I think it's a good record. I think it's a live and learn record for them. Thank God it didn't end their career, But a lot of bands make a terrible record in their career, and that, to most people, is their most awful record they made. Because it's just very weird. If you listen to it, you're like, why does this sound like this? Why does the record cover look like this? Why do they look like this? It's very strange.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
They thought they were going to be able to pull off this. They thought they're going to do like the Who with Tommy did, and make this concept record, and it just went so south for them. And they brought the big producer back that made their biggest studio record to date back into the fold, because they lost popularity at that point, and they brought him back. Okay. And he hadn't worked with them except for that huge record, Destroyer. Okay. And it disastrous. So
Get you worked up. No.
well, look up Kiss music from the Elder on Wikipedia, just for shits and giggles when you're done with this interview, or when you got time. And
I'm gonna for sure. Because I didn't even know what it meant. I was like, I don't know what the Elder is.
It's like it's the only record at that point that didn't have their faces or a picture of their face on the front. It had a giant like wooden brass door with like a door knocker and a hand. It's very odd. Very odd. I love it though. As Kiss freaks, they'll shit on a record and we'll love it. So
nice. No, well, that's another one. Then we can wrap it up. What was your hot sauce approach? You have the hot sauce. They come to you, or was this your idea?
I had to go look to somebody to make this stuff because I'm a big I love chicken wings. I always have.
Fuck yeah.
I'm a huge wing connoisseur, and I love hot sauce. I love spicy food, and I always wanted to make my own hot sauce. And then it started to become a thing. Now bands make hot sauce, bands make coffee, bands make liquor, and I'm like, wow, I might be able to make this a reality. The problem was I knew that if I approached somebody, especially these companies that are making it for bands, that they're going to want to do a Hatebreed one. And I didn't want to do that because I wanted to be my own thing. I wanted to be my own thing. And I reached out to a couple companies. At first, I reached out to this company that did Tony from Municipal Waste hot sauce, and they said no because they weren't doing bands anymore. And then I reached out to the guy Kyle, who does Hella Hot sauce, who actually ended up doing it. But at first he was wanting to do what Hatebreed one, obviously. And I was like, look, man, I want to do it myself. He's like, let me think about it. And then I kind of let him know how serious I was about it. How I had the artwork that I wanted to roll out for it, had somebody that was going to do that, even though I didn't at the time.
Fake
And it all came together, you know. And he's now done like one for like the guy in War, and he's doing a Zetro from Exodus one now. He's really kind of latched onto the bands thing, even though he has his own sauces. He was somebody that I knew that I could make it happen with because he deals with bands. Cool. So he said yes. We started talking about what the flavor was going to be and what I wanted, and you know, he would send me samples. Then in the meantime, I reached out to Craig Holloway, who has huge ties in Detroit, of course.
Shout out, hell yeah.
He was in these bands that are in the pictures behind you.
Yep.
And he's done a lot of artwork. He did Agnostic Front cover for Warriors, and at first he said no, I'm too tied up and all this, and then he actually came back and came around because for what I wanted to have done, that cool cartoony looking thing, and of those who've seen the artwork on the bottle, it's incredible. You know, it's me, tattoos and everything. It totally looks like me, but my head's an alligator, you know, and I'm breathing fire. And
I love it, man.
I'm on the beach, and I've got my Gibson Explorer, and I'm playing guitar. It's super cool. It all came together, you know, and he sent me the samples. And at first I thought I was going to go back and forth with him and tell him that I didn't like the sauce, because he had at that point was making some very fruity cucumber sauce and like a peach sauce. And I just wasn't into that. I told him what I wanted. You know, let's go Trinidad scorpion peppers and all this stuff, Tabasco peppers. He came back with the sauce, and I tasted it, and I was getting ready to be prepared to be like, all right, we got to change this. We got to fix this. And when I first tasted it, it tasted really goddamn good. Exactly what I wanted. But then it started burning the shit out of my mouth, and I can handle hot stuff. So I thought to myself, holy crap, he knocked it out of the park with the taste. How do we tone this down a little bit? And then I started thinking about the type of people that were going to be buying this. Hatebreed fans. The last thing that I want is for somebody to say this is some pussy shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want people to be like, this is really good, and it burns the shit out. You know, it tasty, but burns. I want it to be dangerous, because you keep going back to it because it tastes good, but you keep punishing yourself. And that's what it ended up being. The first samples that he sent me are what you get when you order it. That's what you taste. So from there, we've gone on and moved a lot of this. I myself have moved over 5,000 bottles of this stuff. Shit. So, it's been great. And I already have ideas for a second sauce and a second name and a second. Will I go with Kyle again? I don't know. He's super busy, and it's a small mom and pop batch, a small batch mom and pop operation. And more times than not, I don't have hot sauce, so we sell it out very quick. We're on our 4th or 5th batch of it now, and I don't have any money. I don't have any of it. I'm waiting for more. So that's a problem to me. You know what I mean? I want to have it constantly, you know, but these are all things that came about just during the pandemic. You know what I mean? You see bands hustling and scrambling and finding other ways to make money, whether it was doing a live stream concert, or somebody, you know, making their own beer or coffee, or selling their own guitar straps, or whatever it is. We all had to be clever during this. Picks, of course, too. Yeah. So check out my big cartel store, Florida Frank, if you Google that online. If you go on my social medias, Florida Frank on Instagram and Facebook, you can click on in my profile, so there's links to the web store. The hot sauce should be back in quick. I have a lot of cool things planned this year. My own custom set of guitar strings are going to be coming out this year, with SIT, who I'm happy to be with now. I have plans for my own custom guitar strap as well. I'm always making guitar picks. Hatebreed has Breed Brew, as many of you know. We have our own beer, so if you want to check that out online, we have 2 different versions of with alcohol, and we have a non-alcoholic version too. So there's a lot. Jamie has his own pasta. Josta pasta, thing we used to joke about. You should make Josta pasta. It's a real thing.
That's so
So
fucking cool.
there's no shortage of stuff that we have available, and check all that stuff out until we are able to come see you guys on our next tour, which is with Parkway Drive and Black Dahlia Murder, and Stick to Your Guns.
Yeah.
And that tour is going to be going on in May.
You're skipping Detroit, but you'll be in Grand Rapids.
I don't do the routing. The bands don't do the routing. The shows go on
It's only
sale.
2 hours. That's a big
what-
fucking fest, though. It looks like there's a
It's
lot of
worth it.
bands.
It's
Yeah.
worth it. That's a big show. That's a big
Yeah.
show, and there's a little something for everybody on that bill.
Awesome. Well, once again, man, I appreciate your time and doing this, answering some fucking silly questions. We had a fun conversation. Hopefully it was a good time for you as well. And
Hey, I'm glad we can make it happen. I know we've been going back and forth trying to make it happen. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm
No,
glad.
totally
I hope
fine.
it was good for you and everybody watching out there. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll wrap it up. And when this goes out, I appreciate it. Maybe you can promote it for me. That'd help.
Yeah, of course. Just send me the links and all that.
Cool. Thank you so much, man. I know you got shit to do, so I'm gonna let you go. And good luck on tour and everything with Hatebreed, man. I can't wait to see you guys again. So until then,
All right, take it easy. Thank
thanks,
you.
man. See ya.